Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for coming and hanging out with us for the next hour or so. We are, my name is Adam Bickford. I'm with the Colorado State Demography Office, and we are beginning a series of lunchtime webinars about data and tools. And we're going to start today with some real basic information. People still coming in. So this is the agenda today. First, we're going to go in and take a look at our website a bit. And then we're going to talk about storytelling with data. That's one of my favorite cliches, but it does help us guide a lot of what we are about and what we're doing. And then we'll walk through two very simple analyses to help get your juices flowing, get your imagination started so that you can use our data effectively. So this is our website. Our website is organized and optimized to provide data for folks. And just as a navigation help, everything here is vertical. So if you don't see something on the screen, I encourage you to scroll down. Okay. And this is our homepage. What we see here are a bunch of basic tables where if you need just a simple statistic, you'll be able to look that up here. These tables can be customized by county. You see the entire list of county here. And then as you choose a particular county, those tables will update to show you the latest information for that county. These links here will take you to the lookup page for that particular data series, so you can customize that. You can customize the years, you can customize geographies, and manipulate data and then download information. These last two tables here are information from the American Community Survey. When you click on one of these links, they will take you to data.census.gov, and it will give you the appropriate data type, data file, and your selected geography. And then if you need more geographies, you can customize those geographies by clicking on this geo button. And here you've got like a long list of geographies. You can add municipalities, which in the census terms is places. You can add counties. You can add all these different dimensions to create a table that gets you the information that you need. So back to our website. Down here at the bottom, you'll see our publications, including the Crosstabs blog that we produce, and information about training and webinars and presentations. We have a set of specialized data tools here for that we have worked with particular agencies and gotten the information that they need and produced data to meet their needs, which is kind of a general point. We serve a lot of different organizations and a lot of different programs that we're not experts in. Y'all are the experts in your programs. Our approach here is to provide a very basic set of data that then you can manipulate to meet your needs. And if you have any questions about how you go about doing that, we're always available to talk to you. And really willing to go through the process of helping you understand what we have and what you need and how you can get to what you need from what we have. And finally, on the right-hand side here, you see frequently asked questions from us and the Census Bureau. On our website, most of the detailed information is on the left-hand side, this menu here. These are all buttons that take you to topical areas and to geographic areas. We're going to focus on the population totals, age, and race and Hispanic origin section. Every one of these major sections is organized in the same way. There's a button that will take you to visualizations. There's a button that will take you to spreadsheets, and a button that will take you to lookup applications. And then finally, there is a button that has background information that you may find helpful. The visualizations take you to some applications that we have developed, including the story map and different maps, and then all these different visualization applications. This is a good place to start if you don't have any idea what's going on. Uh, if you're just trying to figure out what kinds of information is available, this is a good place to get real basic information that can help with your, help you focus in on particular topics. So many of these, give this a second. Many of these applications have very similar navigation features to them. You can select geography types, either a region, which is a collection of counties, or an individual county. You can select particular counties here. You'll see different graphics here. And as you mouse over the graphics, you can see the actual value behind at a particular data point. In these, and this particular application has got information about estimates, forecasts, the components of change, and net migration by age, and then a lot of information by age group. Wherever you see this icon here, this download icon, this gives you access to, first of all, the data that is in a particular chart. You can download the chart itself, or you can go to the data source. So here you see, a chart that you can download. These charts are optimized to fit within a Word document or a PowerPoint presentation, so you can include them in your work. The next area is our spreadsheets. Virtually every data series that we have, we produce spreadsheets which give you information about an entire series. This is useful if you feel like you need to have more detail in your data for, say, all of the counties or all of the regions in the state. And many users use this information to to include in their data systems. Like, if you're doing extensive forecasting, you want to have our information into in your database, and this gives you information that you can do that. You can add things in. These produce downloadable Excel sheets, which have got information. In this case, this is total population by county, and there's just a lot of different resources that are available here. Finally, the second or third thing to look at are specific data lookup applications. Here, this is a good place to go if you want data for a specific county or a specific region or a specific municipality, and you want it for a specific data, series of dates. Here you have opportunities to select specific geographies. Here, this is counties. And specific years. And you got to use the keys correctly. Try this again. There. And then you will generate a table that then you can either look through and you can download. And you can have this information, which you can then go forward and manipulate to get summaries that you need. The one additional thing that I want to, so we have different topics here. There's population, births, deaths, and migration. Those are the components of change. Information about housing units, information about economy and jobs, and then census data. This is where we have a lot of information we're going to talk about in May, but I wanted to highlight that we've got spreadsheets from each of the releases for the 2020 census, and also information from the 2010 and 2000 census. We additionally have information from the American Community Survey. This is where we get a lot of requests for social statistics. This is our main source for that. You can see that we've got a whole set of spreadsheets by county and for municipalities that are differentiated by topics. We will return to this in May. We'll talk about this in a little bit more detail then. But this is a good place to look if you're interested in information about housing, if you're interested in general population information that isn't available from our forecasts and estimates. For example, if you want detailed information about places, you can find that. Additionally, if you're interested in, we also have the same information here about for states and regions, again, visualizations, spreadsheets, and lookup applications. And finally, last thing I want to highlight is this button here, which will send you to a form where you can send us a question. We do our best to answer those questions within 24 hours of receiving them. And this is a good, if you are just completely unclear about what's going on and where to go, you can get a hold of us there. Okay, so let's go back. So this is a layout showing basically where you can find the stuff that you may need, the topical information that you need, and also the geographic information. It's the same kind of information, but it's specialized for, say, counties and municipalities and places. Okay. So I was going to stop for questions here. If anybody's got a question, you raise your hand. We can. Okay. Doesn't look like it just yet. So we'll move forward. Thank you. So we also have an API. So our data is updated annually, and we put everything that we have each year in our spreadsheet downloads and lookup applications. We have these API. We have an API interface where you can download JSON files, which has got this data in it, but you probably don't need it. But if you're into it and you really want to, get in and access our API, the information for doing that is at this site on GitHub. So please take a look. And again, if you have questions, please reach out and reach out to us. We do have an API that is specialized with census data, and we're going to talk about that in May. So, storytelling with data. This, like I said, this is one of our favorite terms. It's great for marketing analysts, for analysts like myself. It gives people an idea about what we're doing. It also helps to clarify why we engage. why we use data. And we use data to illustrate something, to illustrate a situation, a trend, a comparison, to make a point. Which thing we illustrate is a decision that analysts or teams have to make. And those decisions that you make guide what happens next. It guides what data you collect, how you process it to produce summaries, regardless whether they're tables or charts, paragraphs, and then how you build a narrative, how you tell the story that you want to tell, and you know highlight the points that you want to make. Often, pardon me, excuse me. Often, when we talk to folks, we ask them to answer a set of questions. What do you want to know? What topics do you want to know? What data do you need? What time period do you need? You need just a single year, or are you looking at a trend? Which geographies are you looking at? Is your analysis descriptive? Is just going to tell what's going on in a single place? Or is it comparative? Are you comparing two or more places to each other? And then are you going to model something? Are you going to put things into a regression model? What kind of model are you going to use? And what kind of specifications of that model? And then how are you going to present your findings? These questions help focus us all into what we're doing so that we're efficient in what we're doing. And this is really a great place to start as you're working with particular project on a particular project. So I want to give you some perspective about us, about demography. We consider population changes and population at really high levels of geography, of aggregation, and they are defined by geographies. So when we look at state level, which is the highest level that we look at, we see a real clear relationship between two factors creating population change. One is natural increase, which is the difference between births and deaths. And the other one is net migration, the difference between people moving in to a place and moving out. And that net migration is directly related to the availability of jobs. This is what we see. And when we get to lower levels of aggregation, we get to counties, we get to municipalities, other factors become important, like characteristics of the housing market and such. We highlight this because there are just a lot of relationships that we could look at. And unfortunately, we're not going to do that today because we only have about 40 minutes left here. So this chart is a schematic of the way that we think about population. We see population as characteristics about age, and births, and race and ethnicity and housing. We see employment issues. We see economic changes and changes in the labor force. And like I said, these are really important things to look at. Your task, and one of the things that helps us, is having a clear idea about what is the most important things you want to look at as we move forward. So now we're going to move into our two examples. So the first one is just looking at total population in two counties. Imagine a circumstance where you have to compare the long-term population trends in two places. I chose two counties, Mesa and Weld County, over a period of 20 years. And we're going to use Excel to plot this data and to manipulate this data. Excel is a fine tool. Everybody's got it. But, whenever you talk about software products, you end up with a lot of people saying, well, my tool is better than your tool, right? But you can use what you like here. So we've defined in this slide, we've answered several of the questions that we asked before. We're doing comparisons. We have a period of time, a trend, and we're interested in total population. Those are the kinds of questions that, you know, you need to answer as you approach this data. So first thing that we do is we get the data, right? Um, this is what we showed this example previously. You download it, select it as your counties, your years, and you download the CSV file, and then you get download. Okay, and now as you start to work with data, I want to just clarify something here. Data is often messed up, and amongst the demographers, we often use more colorful adjectives when describing this point. But it's always a good assumption that your data files don't contain the information that you need exactly in the way you expect to find it. Depending on where you get your data, it's often inconsistent. And a lot of the work that we end up doing is transforming and restructuring a data file to get the data into a form that you can analyze. We regularly restructure data files. We aggregate observations, we recode variables, we change records. And at each step, when you do that, you really should make sure that the changes you intended to make are actually made. Now, luckily, SDO files are designed to be clear and accessible. And we spend a lot of time making sure that these things, that our columns are well defined and that the variables that we present are very clear. But even using SDO data, you may still have to restructure things. And this is part of the analysis task that we need to use. So, so this is the data, right? This is the data here from Mesa County that we downloaded. So what you can do, first thing is you can plot the trend line, and you can see that the population of Mesa County is increasing, but it's not increasing in a straight line. You see that there are years where the increase is less than other years. And you can also see how the estimates that we have sort of differ from the projections. You can also report minimum values. You can report the maximum value. You can report the population at the midpoint of the trend line. What you report depends on your requirements and what you need to say about this data. And this is all pretty straightforward. This is an Excel scatter plot. This is a little bit easier to use than a line plot, but there you have a lot of choices when it comes to how you plot this information. Now, one of the issues that comes up when we compare two counties is that every county is different and every county has got different sizes. Here, Weld County, which is the fastest growing county in the Front Range, is about twice as big as Mesa. So if you were to plot both of those on a single graph, you would see, the population growth in Weld County, but you'd also see kind of a straight line for Mesa, just because of the magnitude of the total population axis, the vertical axis. So, you need to take a different approach if you're creating a comparison. And there are at least two options here. One of them is to create what's called a facet plot, that where you plot each county data series separately and you just stack them on top of each other. And the other way of looking at it is to calculate a standardized growth rate so that the change in population for each county is using the same base. So a facet plot is pretty easy. It's literally taking two charts and putting them one right on top of the other. The only thing that you need to make sure is that the x-axis has the same dimensions so that you can do a comparison here. So you look at the the population for Mesa County and the population for Weld County. Population for Weld County is more of a straight line with an upward slope, whereas the population for Mesa County has a period where there's small growth, probably out to about 2016, and then it starts to take off, and that slope increases as time goes on, right? So that's part of the description that you would summarize in your as you're presenting this data. Now, the other approach is to standardize this data, right? Calculating a growth rate. Now, there are lots of different growth rates that you can calculate. Use the one that works for you. Use the one that is required, and the one that illustrates what it is you want to show. We're using a very simple one. It's one of the simplest ones that we have. It's just percent change. It's where you take the current value for a year minus the previous value divided by the previous value. And that standardizes the population change so that you can compare two counties using the same base. The cliche is apples to apples, right? So this is the example here. This is first of all an example of how you need to reorganize your data so that the Mesa County data and the Weld County data are parallel to each other, and then you can calculate percentage change. The percentage change for between 2010 and 2011 is the population in 2011 minus the population in 2010 divided by the population in 2010, right? And that's pretty straightforward. Then once you've got that done, then you can plot those two lines. And here you see a different, a different picture. First of all, that for Mesa County, for Weld County, we'll start with Weld County. What looked like it was a common straight line in terms of the increase in total population actually has a lot more variation in it. And you can see that, population in Weld County kind of peaked around maybe 2017, and then it went down a bit, and then it grew again, between 20, around the beginning about 2021. And then when you look at Mesa County, you see that the first peak is around 2018, right? But then you also see another kind of peak again around 2021. So then, you can see all these differences, you can summarize them, and you can make sense of them, and then you can use all that to write up your responses, answer the questions that you wanted to find the answers for in your analysis. And that's right, and then move forward. So now we have another example here. The second example is we're going to reproduce a chart that we downloaded. This is for Mesa County. This is the population change by age group over 10 years. We chose these age groups because they provide a convenient summary for where we see population growth increasing. If you've heard us talk about population growth in any presentations in the last year or so, we stress how the 65 and older population is growing fastest in the state. Excuse me. And this is one thing that this is showing. You may want to use other age categories. You may want to use other years to show some of these changes. And that's fine. And what this example is going to give you is an idea about how you might go about doing that. So first of all, get the data from our single year of age lookup application. And we use, in this case, the census age categories, but you can use like 5-year age categories if you want. You can create, you have the option with this lookup to choose specific age categories, customize age categories, or you can get every year if you want. Then of course we always download the data, and then we get this data here, and then we modify it. One thing that we do when we modify it is we create a category or a column for the age groups that we want to define. You see, and this um, identifies like the 0 to 17 age group. The category that you assign is relative to the age category on, you know, in this data. And then once you've got all those defined, you run a pivot table, right, and calculate a sum. And that's something I know everybody is familiar with doing. And then this gives you the sum, and then you can calculate the percent changes using the the equation that we talked about previously. And in this case, it's a little bit different. This 13.7% is the difference between in the total population, for 2032 minus the total population in 2022 divided by the total population in 2022. Right. And then you go and you do the plot. Now, this is a simple plot. It's looks a little different than the plot that we downloaded from our website, but that's the stylistic differences are just part of the different tools that you use. One thing that has to happen with this particular plot is you need to move the vertical axis to the right, excuse me, to the left, and there's a link down here when when we post these slides that you can follow to show you how to do that. But that's a pretty straightforward change to make. Okay, so I want to finish this up before we open up for questions. We tried to show how you can get data from our website and use it in an analysis, and we walked through two real simple analyses. There's a lot of different things that you can do, and this is where your creativity and your curiosity really come into play. Data analysis is a creative pursuit. It can help you answer the questions that you have about your program, about what's going on in a geography, and it can give you information that you can use to communicate to your stakeholders what's going on. Now, today we focused on population estimates and forecasts developed by our team. In May, we're going to take a look at Census and American Community Survey data. And then in June, we're going to walk through the details of our population estimate and forecast program. Information about the future webinars are available on our trainings and webinar page on our website. We went down there to the very bottom under the publications panel. You can access that information there. So we have just about 20 minutes of questions. I'm gonna, if you will, please just raise your hand and we can get your questions answered. And then finally, this is my contact information. Please, if you have any questions, come and reach out and we can try to get your questions answered. Thanks. Okay, I got somebody here. Somebody raised a hand. Could you unmute yourself and say hi and we can get your question, we can talk? Okay.
I hadn't raised my hand before, but I raised it just now.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi, very good. Thank you. This is a great webinar. Thank you for exploring it with us. I have two questions, but really my first question is probably the most important. You have a lot of visualizations already on the site, so thank you for that. If we have like any specific need for either a visualization or a data pull that we can't I don't know how to create, would we be able to request any? Is that something that the SDO office has the capacity to do, create something specific visualization wise based on ACS data or census data?
Yes, absolutely. Um, the majority of our visualizations come from requests that we have received. Um, you know, the way to go about doing that is, first of all, to look at what we have up there. Look, particularly as it relates to the ACS, take a look at the ACS spreadsheets that we walk through, and then send us an email, and we can start the process of figuring out what it is you need, and can get you what you need. Many of our mapping tools, many of our dashboards and everything are the results of requests that we've received. So we're always available to help you out with that.
Excellent, thank you. And then the other question I have, and this I've explored a bit of it, and perhaps it's there and I just have not been able to find it. So apologies if it's there. Um, I see things like the languages spoken at home, some visualizations, but most of it is like Spanish or not Spanish. Is there a detailed linguistic diversity, whether it's a spreadsheet or, and I guess I could tell you, I have to present it to different both municipalities and counties, primarily library districts. And I get a lot of questions of like, how can I find out what languages are spoken in my community? So it's pretty granular, so not
Yeah,
quite statewide high level, but do you know of where I could find that information, perhaps in the SDO site, but if not elsewhere?
yeah, yes. Well, we have several. I'm going to let me do this again here. We have several spreadsheets that provide this language information, but it's not always the clearest information that we have. The most detailed information is only really available for the United States as a whole. Um, we do have information about the major language groups: Spanish, French, German, and then others, down to the municipality level on our website, amongst the ACS spreadsheets there. And we this is a perennial question that we have. The fact of the matter is that the majority of people who speak another language, they speak Spanish, and typically that's uh, sufficient for a lot of things. Uh, the alternative is to look at country of origin if you really need to distinguish um, people who are Chinese versus Laotian versus Vietnamese or something like that. That information there is a table for that. We haven't produced we haven't summarized that, but if you send us an email, we can certainly help you find it.
Thank you so much. You're always so helpful, so thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah, just again, let me just reiterate. Uh, we do our best to serve all the communities that that ask us for information. And if you have any questions, if you're confused, if you are not sure about how you might proceed, we're always available to talk to you. So please just reach out and we will, see what we can do to help you out. So if there are no other questions, I will conclude this. Um, like I said, we will be revisiting our next webinar is going to be in May, and we're going to talk about the American Community Survey and census data in particular. And we look forward to hearing from you and seeing you all again. So thanks a lot.